So we're lucky enough today to have Graham Gilmore here from Tatterkill Meat Sheep Stud, and Graham, I just want to ask you a question. When you're selecting an Australian white ram, flock ram or stud ram at the sale or in the paddock, what should you be looking for?
Well, you should be looking for brood type for a start, so and I can assure you that the brood type's in the Tatterkill sheep. So darker nose and eyes, and then we look for balanced sheep that can walk freely. Then you're looking for, in particular, the hair pattern. So make sure that it's all haired over the back. We don't like that wool shedding type. We're pushing towards the hair, and the rams are, and the ewes, they're all hair pattern. Darker feet, and then we're looking for carcass conformation. So smooth shoulders, well laid, neck well laid into the shoulders, plenty of length, and square hocks in particular. That's something that in the evolution of the breed, the earlier stock, with some of the breeds that we put in to develop it, didn't have that those good square hocks and the shape. So we're very happy with how that's progressed over the last couple of generations. But certainly the square hocks, the deep hind leg, rounded outside leg muscling, width in the loin, and that's what we're.
So in the case, Graham, of the black feet on the sheep, or the sheep that have got a black with maybe a white stripe in it, but they've certainly got black in the hooves. And one thing I've heard you talk about before, which I think is very important, is about the depth of the heel of the sheep, so they actually keep a straight foot on them.
Yeah, well, that just gets them standing up on their toes. It was something that I got information on that from a very wise gentleman. It was an Angus breeder by the name of Jack Woodburn, was talking about depth of heel, and this is 30 years ago, and I had to ask him what that meant. When he told me, it made sense, and that basically gets the animal up on their toes and gets them walking on the toe, and it helps wear the toe. If they're very flat on the heel and no depth in that heel, it's inclined the feet to on sheep with high protein to grow sort of Persian type slippers on the toes. So it's not just black, it's got to be the right shape. Within the stud industry, I basically believe that stud sheep should have the black feet by now. In the commercial industry, you're not going to find every sheep at this stage with solid black feet, but in time that will be the breed standard. We won't deviate from those black feet. And we don't deviate from the head coat. We were criticised about it for a long time, but we were absolutely certain that was important with that head coat. They've got a thicker skin, so that's also an advantage for flies. Even if they do get a little patch of flies on them, the maggots won't get through the skin. The skin is too thick.
Yeah, we've certainly seen this year with a very, very wet spring and summer that there has been a little bit of quite a bit of pressure on flies, and even in some of our good Aussie white clients have had a small amount of flies in the odd mob, and but I don't know that it's actually the flies have actually killed any of the sheep. They've had to treat the odd fly, but it hasn't been a major issue. But they've still got no shearing, no crutching, all of those things that we know about. Graham, just a quick one on for people that are buying sheep on Auctions Plus or looking them in the paddock, and they've been, and we know what happens. So, so some people will nominate that they're Australian whites when they might be Australian white crosses. So things like of, pink noses, pink eyes, all of those sort of things, tend to throw alarm bells up as to what the actual breeding of the sheep is.
Well, there's a lot out there that are taking advantage of a breed that's obviously in a boom period, but I don't think that it's necessarily going to drop off too quickly. And in that boom period, we've seen that with any breed, that you'll get people jumping on board to try and make gain out of it. So a lot of sheep coming up that aren't stud animals. They're just commercial animals with the testicles left in, and people think, well, I'll make a few bob out of this. But you lose all those traits that the breed's about. So what we're suggesting, and I did had a post put together to go out there to just show people that not every animal's going to have black feet in the commercial side of it. Not every animal's going to be 100% perfect shedder at this stage, But if we do this right and the right animals are used, we will get to the stage where there'll be no cover on the animals at all. There'll be solid black feed, and that'll be what the breed is. But only if we keep the right parameters around it. If we let some of these commercial sheep into the industry, and it will affect us, and it is affecting us a little bit. But those that are doing the job right are being rewarded. It's costing them more money on their rams, but they're certainly getting the rewards.
Yeah, one thing in talking about the cost of the rams is we understand the commercial clients probably in a small way concern over the price they have to pay for their rams, but the great thing that we're finding is that all of our clients that have been involved in for a little while, I'd go as far as to say that virtually 100% of them are actually lambing at least, best part of 3 times in 2 years. So even though the rams are costly per ram, these rams, we're not finding them breaking down. They're holding on very well. They hold their condition incredibly well, and we're using those rams every couple of months because we're joining another mob of ewes with the lambing the 3 times in 2 years. So certainly, even though the ram is costly per ram, but when you're actually using that ram not under the traditional system where you use the ram once a year and put him back in the ram paddock and got him out again next year, these rams are actually getting used a number of times, and when you actually work out how much they're costing per lamb on the ground, they're no dearer than the one that's only getting used once a year. So it's certainly a good point for people to be, even though we're mindful that the breed's taken off and the price of the rams it is. We probably believe that this sale won't be quite as strong as the last sale because we've got more numbers in this sale. The rams will present just as good. There's no doubt about that. There's nothing's dropped off except that maybe this sale won't be quite as dear as the last one, but we don't know. We're not in any control in that. It's up to people how much they put the hand up and bid. We've certainly had a lot of inquiry about the sale, and we think it's going to go very well. But hopefully there's going to be rams there for everyone to buy, and if they turn up on the day and worst case scenarios, they go home with a real good feed of lamb for lunch.
Oh, so well, the market is what the market is. The one thing that I can guarantee people is there are no rebates in the sale. We don't do that system. We back our product. If there's a problem with it, we replace it, or people get their money back. So you're coming here bidding against genuine money. You're not bidding against a rebated system that I'm doing. So when the hammer falls, that's the bill that's sent out. So we believe that's a fairer system. We still stand by the product, and not every animal's perfect. So that's just the way Tattykill does it.
So to back that up a bit more, Graham, and we haven't talked about this, but I know this is a fact that I've never seen a family or a stud that actually supports their clients that actually buy at their sale so much. I've seen a number of things that where a ram's, like I'll give you an example, I've got a client who I think the ram got bitten by a snake, but Graham replaced the ram. Like we've got other clients, one accidentally jumped out of the back of a horse float on the middle of the road, and I rang Graham and said this client's on his way home and bought a ram for his young bloke for his flock of Aussie whites, and the ram jumped out of the back of the horse float. We never thought it would have been able to even get enough momentum up to get out, but it must have got up over the back. Anyway, it was dead on the Newell Highway and no longer in use. But when I mentioned it to Graham, he said, tell them to turn around and come back. We've got one spare ram here that they can take home. So certainly, I consider that's brilliant for backing up their product, and these people do that, and I can't. And there's plenty more stories like that.
Yeah, we back the product. If there is any problems, we're in there to help. Anyone that the phone's constantly ring with people ring up looking for advice, and all of us are happy to talk to anyone and give advice on it. It is a new way of farming sheep. The Australian white is definitely a new way of farming sheep. So the property that we're on here it's called Gunnedu. It's at Tarcutta, and it's got good water, beautiful dams, well fenced, and we don't have to live on the farm to run Australian whites. If we had other sheep here at certain times of the year, we'd have to be here. So it's making the farming of sheep an easier operation. It doesn't obviously suit everybody, but certainly suits some, and it's not it's not something that's going to go away. We're seeing a worldwide trend towards shedded sheep, whether that be in America or England or New Zealand. It's the same thing all over the world. It's not going to get rid of the wool sheep, but it gives another option to people that don't want to be down that track any further. And it's not just old retirees that are wanting to do it, which we've certainly seen quite a number of clients that are in their late 70s and 80s that are still farming because of Australian whites. But then there's a lot of younger people that are in the cropping side that don't want to run cattle, but have worked out that they can run Australian whites and it won't interfere with their cropping operations during sowing or in particular harvest where they might have to be chasing flies. It just wipes that out. So it's a diverse range of people coming in.
Very good. Righto, well, good luck next week with your purchases at the sale, and look forward to seeing you there. Thanks.
Thank you.